That would have done.
realize it was so cool.
Well, we need to order here and start off with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have Mr. Sayers on the phone here. He called in for the record. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Are there any additions or corrections from anyone on the agenda? Also approve the meeting minutes from July 22nd.
Sure.
And now that we're receiving accounts payable weekly, motion to approve all three.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Do we have any liquor licenses today?
No.
None. It's easy. Public comment? Anybody comment today?
Yeah, one brief comment, as usual. I only see one item on the agenda that I just want to make a small comment, and it goes back to using the taxpayer money wisely. And Mr. Crouch's comment a couple of weeks ago about the big, beautiful bill. It's going to put the pinch on us even further in the upcoming years. And I see under item 11, we're talking about carpet replacement, etc. I just want to make sure that that's absolutely an essential item. You know, if it's a safety issue, that's one thing. If it's just worn out, you know, in private industry, I've worked in a lot of offices where you just make do.
Live with it.
And yeah, I mean, we didn't put in stuff just because we wanted to. It had to be absolutely essential. And I worked at some pretty crappy places, but it wasn't public money, so we watched it very carefully. I want that's it.
Thank you.
I agree with you. You have to be accountable for every penny you spend, especially when it's my money.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, supervisor updates. I didn't have anything last week, so I'm good.
Neither did I.
Crouch?
I had a meeting with SWIPCO on the last week Zoom meeting, and one of the main things that came out of the meeting was we have 4 low rent housing projects going on in southwest Iowa. We have one in Mills County, one in Fremont County, 2 in Mills County, and I think the other one is at Underwood. The problems being some down in Fremont County, the bills were not turned in on time. The guy didn't get paid. They ended up going to something like a sheriff's sale so they could keep the ground. Otherwise, they would have a real nice paved street through a patch of ground with no housing. 2 problems like that. There's some other places. There's one other place that's got problems with not screening people good enough. We have people living in low rent housing that's above the bar. Another one is everybody around here knows that as a swamp house over by Malvern. They did start building on constructing 5 houses over there. So the other day when it rained 1.5 inches, I can tell you this much right now, the front yards were still flooded from after all the dirt and stuff they hauled in for a year and 14 months or so. So it's gonna be a problem regardless. It always has been a swamp. But anyway, some of the things that the government, you know, is doing, some things like that, to me, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I think it needs better guidance, you know, on the CDBG grants and things that's put out. Government needs to step up and take care of it. You just can't say, well, we're gonna do this. And, you know, so, and that's one thing that they told us in Philadelphia that would be going away, would be the CDBG grant is part of it. he would be leaving from the government, so I don't know what other program they're gonna come up with. They didn't tell us that, so something that could affect a lot of jobs in this area. And then on Thursday, we had hot dog days for the veterans out at the park. We figured we had at least 200 to 225 veterans show up for a
Cool.
hot dog and baked beans. We held it inside in the building out there where it was air conditioned. We provided rides from the parking lot up to the building. Everybody enjoyed, you know, a lot of them finally got together to have their yearly visit. And it's fun to sit and listen to the stories that they all tell. So that's my 2 cents for today.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the county engineer approval for Iowa DOT FY26 CFYP amendment.
Yes, this is a county 5-year program. We're amending it to change a technicality in the listing of the funding. It was listed as HSIP, and now part of it will be swap HSIP. So we have $2.5 million dedicated to the L63 overlay and widening project. So this is going south out of Malvern down to Paddock Avenue. 1.25 million will be STBG money, 750,000 will be FM funding, and then 500,000 is from the HSIP, a grant we were awarded to the state.
Good.
Also, we were behind a little bit with the design on submitting some things, so it automatically got pushed back to fiscal year 27. Worked with the DOT since we are far along in the design. There was just one thing kind of missing, got that submitted. So now we're targeting a May of 2026 letting. So hopefully construction on this will be summer, probably July of 2026.
Good. Good. We'll make a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve of the DOT FY26 CYFP amendment as stated by the engineer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Iowa DOT FY26 county fiscal year plan amendment. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 It's today. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval to purchase a wheeled excavator grapples. How much and to who?
Okay, these are for wheeled excavators for our brush cutting season, since we were phasing out our top twos or grade alls. The company is CMP Attachments LLC. 2 grapples would come to a total of $61,200, so $30,600 a piece, and we have $70,000 budgeted towards this purchase. Originally, we were looking at cat brands, and they were close to 60 grand for one. So this other one that's going to work well with our machine and get the job done. So big cost savings there.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve $61,200 wheeled excavator grapples at CMP Attachments LLC.
I'll second, and I will say this much, if there's people here, I have watched both operations with the hot tubes and stuff for, yes, they can motor up and down the road, but they don't have the ability with the grapples. It's gonna go on these wheel excavators to get down the ditch and do the work,
Pick it all up.
you know, pick it all up. I mean, they cleaned a quarter mile of brush and stuff out on a road right by me. Matter of 3.5 hours. They had everything pulled out, piled, and ready to move. It's unbelievable, you know, what they can do with this equipment. And the biggest thing is safety factor, no chainsaws, nobody out in the open. So nobody getting a strain back from lifting things.
We've got a motion, a second to approve 61,200 to CMP attachments for wheeled excavator grapples. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We got for general discussion, Jake.
Okay, we've had two safety incidences recently, but it's hard to do anything different when it's just they step wrong. Not doing the terrain, just sometimes that happens, so deal with that.
Okay.
But we are having a safety meeting tomorrow. You guys are aware of that. You're all welcome to come. Have a guest speaker from 9:30 to 11:30, potluck lunch afterwards. I'll be speaking from 7:15 until 9:30. And we'll also be touching on lockout, tagout as part of my discussion. Also, we had a truck driver text our foreman last night that he's no longer coming in to work for us, so we will have an open position that we may be posting for. I think being fully staffed, I think we went, I don't know, maybe a month
Few
here.
weeks.
Just the nature of the game right now. So we'll do internally, see if anybody wants that specific truck, and a little switching around. But we will have an open position here that we'll be posting for here.
Anything else?
That's all I have for general discussion.
I got 2 phone calls yesterday. It's on the highway on the west side going out of Malvern. Goes clear down to the Waubonsee Bridge area. There's quite a chuck hole developing. I don't suppose the heat's helping any, you know. You have to swerve over in the center of the bridge to miss it, and people are talking about, you know, they don't like to play
Chicken
chicken.
at the bridge.
Mhm.
Richard, last time you were talking, you said 290th and Lambert for the dirt road that was overgrown.
No, it's a gravel road that goes back to a dead end.
It is a gravel road.
Right.
And it's all the way across.
Yeah, it goes from
No, the weeds.
pretty much, you got kind of a path you can drive down, but if Rod goes in and blades it, he's gonna have a pile of dirt, grass, gravel.
I did see that dead end, but I saw it was gravel and I thought you said dirt road, so I was confused.
It's
Okay. We'll take care of that.
I just thought if they had the sprayer on yet, just go out and spray it. And then if you had to move the gravel, grate it, it'd break loose a lot easier.
No problem.
And the mow guy, he's getting behind.
Yeah,
Everyone is, in my yard too.
you just started Thursday, so hopefully let's catch up here.
Well, I'll tell you, stuff is, oh.
All right, next item, can you stick around for
Yep.
that, Jake? The next item on the agenda is Rachel and Carlos with MAPPA.
Good morning.
Morning, you go over here if you want.
We'll sneak over here. I'm Carlos Morales, Transportation Data Manager over at MAPPA. MAPPA serves the RPA, Regional Planning Association, RPA 18, which you guys are a member of. Or over the past year,
More copy of this, Jack.
have been working on our long-range transportation plan. This is a federally required document that we have to fulfill every 5 years. This year, we're just doing an update to the previous plan. Rachel will get into the details, but what it's looking at is just generalizing and getting an assessment of what's been going on, looking at the infrastructures, particularly transportation infrastructure throughout the 4-county region, right? So Pot Mills, Harrison, and Shelby County are within this RPA area. And we've been working very diligently through developing this document. We're getting towards the finish line and just stopping by to give everyone an update. That, Ray, can take it away and get into the details.
I'm Rachel Dutch. I'm a transportation manager at Napa, and I've been leading up our RPA teamwork the last for this whole year so far. So we've been working on, like Carlos was saying, we've been working on putting together a long-range transportation plan, which is every 5 years. And so for this rendition, we've updated our goals and some of the material that's going to be going in there. Sometimes we do bigger updates and sometimes we just kind of refresh what's already in it. And so this is one of the refresh years or versions of the plan that we're doing. With those goals, we've added a new one. That one on the bottom, you see green, using growth and sustainability. That is a new goal category. That's basically just to capture the intersection between transportation and land use, and the effect that it has on the overall environment, community, transportation patterns, networks. Because there's so much interaction there. It's more of a combined system. And so when we're only looking at one side of that, we're kind of missing the whole picture. So we wanted to better capture that in the data that we're looking at and what studies we're doing. The rest of those are the other 4 goals. Those are most of the things they were for the last plan. So with the plan timeline, we're currently finalizing those textual updates to the chapters. We'll be presenting the draft plan to the RPA Team Policy Board and Technical Committee. So Jacob and Richard will be there and we'll be able to get a more definitive look at those updates. Those will be for the entire region. But today we wanted to go over some of those specific Mills County highlights, just so you guys are aware, so you're kept in the loop with what we're working on. Later in the fall, we'll be opening that. That'll also be open up for public comment. So if you have any comments, you can also receive those now. Otherwise, it'll be also open for public comment later. And then finally, we'll be presenting that in October to the RPA Team Board. And that'll be the final version before we send it off to Iowa DOT in November.
Good.
For Mills County specifically, again, we just wanted to go over some of those broad highlights, things that we've been kind of picking out as we go through these textual updates, and specifically related to those 5 goals we've identified. So for first, we've got public transit and multimodal connectivity. Big part of that SWITA provides transit options within the county, specifically within Glenwood. That's to help provide access to jobs, healthcare, and other essential services. And that's especially important for those older adults and other non-drivers. We also have the multimodal side of that, where there's the trails that we're trying to take a better look at and a closer look at for the next few years. You might be aware that the Mills County Trails Board is kind of revamping itself. It's just getting restarted again. The Wabash Trace Nature Trail that runs through the county, that's a huge connector for the region. And there's also several other trails and different multimodal bike pedestrian facilities that are in progress for Glenwood. We've been working with Mitch specifically on a connector within Glenwood. And so that's hopefully we're going to get that scope finalized. We've had to make some adjustments to that, but that's just an example of one trail project that we're taking on in the community. And we want to make sure that those are, that we're encouraging those, that we're supporting those. And as part of that, through RPA Team, there's a pot of funding available called Transportation Alternatives, also called CAP or TASA. And through that, that's specifically designed for alternative modes of transportation, so trails, sidewalks, anything related to that. We have a surplus within that funding pot right now, and so we're
We'll
hoping.
take it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're hoping that can be taken advantage of, especially with the Mills board that's getting
Good.
revamped. We're hoping to be able to take advantage of that. And if you guys have any questions about those applications, they should be opening in October.
Quick question on that. Can it be used for updating ADA compliance through small towns, the landing ramps and sidewalks?
I believe so.
I think so.
Like,
I will have to double
It's
check.
eligible for that.
Yeah.
Because that, if we're disrupting the pedestrian path, we're required to update those.
Yeah,
sure. And so a lot of times, small towns, we're gonna be going through Hastings, I think there's gonna be some there. They usually don't have the funds for that, so then that's put back on them. So
and those are usually 80-20 splits as well, but we're happy to work with you and Iowa DOT on finding the best available funding to make those things happen. So a lot of times, other agencies have used HSIP, right, which you guys are familiar with, to do some of this additional work, but TASO and others are also eligible.
And there's typically also state, grant types available. I don't know if you guys are familiar with SRT. That was actually part of the funding that was funding the Glenwood project. And so we're working with the state to kind of readjust that for the new project scope. But that's something that Glenwood has taken advantage of in the past, and is the application cycle for that is closed for this year, but it'll be open again next year. So that's another grant opportunity. So next, roadway safety, we are currently working on two certificates for all plans. So that's a federal grant program that there are two different ones that we're working on. The first is the 97 Essex County project, which Jacob is really familiar with. Basically, that's where most of the counties of Iowa came together and decided that they wanted to all put together county plans. So they put in a project for 97 of the Iowa counties. And so each county, those are getting finalized this month. Actually, they might be completely done. But we've got draft copy, and I know that final should be coming soon.
97. So who's the two that didn't? Polk and who?
Starts with an M. It's out east somewhere. I can't remember which one, but
Because they were wrapped in with other, so
Yeah,
they
they'd
still
already-
got it.
applied, so they were already covered. So almost a large part of Iowa, all
Just
the
a
counties
big
were covered.
It's a big on Polk.
So, but because of that, those are specifically only county plans, and so any city over a certain population threshold was excluded. And because of that, specifically in RPA 18, we wanted to make sure we were covering those communities with a different plan. And so NAPA put together an application in coordination with SWIPCO for RPA 13, similar communities that were excluded from their county plans.
Good.
And so now there's 7 cities between RPA 13 and 18 that are covered in RPA 18. That includes Glenwood as part of that plan. And so we're currently, was kicked off this last May. And so we're currently in the outreach and data analysis phase. So that's a bit further behind the county plan, but will also be being finalized in the next year or so. And that makes the communities eligible for safety funding, both federal and it just makes it easier to apply for some other grant opportunities as well.
Good.
So that should make it a little bit easier on that end in this the pursuit of roadway safety. Next, we've got infrastructure freight resilience. As you guys are, I'm sure, really familiar with, the Mills County transportation region is highly agricultural, so there's a lot of freight. There's a lot of also regional commuting from the metro and back, specifically along those US Highway 35 and I-29. Because of that, there's a lot of, and this is something we've seen across RPA 18, but these roads are facing a lot of heavy wear because they're not really designed for this heavy agricultural equipment or the amount of freight traffic that they're getting, and also those regional commuting patterns are also a lot more wearing than had been initially anticipated. So we want to make sure we're trying to keep up with maintenance on roadways and ensuring that they're being built to the proper specs that will support what they're being used
So
for.
if we can convince our governor and the next governor, whoever, that you want to add 90,000 pounds to a truck, it should be able to go up the interstate,
Yeah.
not county
Go
roads.
Seal Coat roads, yeah.
And another thing, they talk about 34 and 29 being busy. You take 29 and 370 or Bungie Avenue, especially twice a year with fall harvest and stuff. When you take 800 loads of beans in 24 hours, plus all the traffic out of Google. And then if we get this company that's coming in to be built probably in the next couple of years of another 300 people.
Is that the super study?
No, this is, we have a company moving in up here in the annexation part of Mills County.
Yep.
And then if the cattle company comes in, I don't know what they're gonna do with Bungie Avenue, but it's gonna be and we've done traffic studies, the state's done traffic studies, And, you know, well, we gotta do a study. Well, how many times can you study? It's busy, period. And, you know, I've got truckers already that's just hauling late corn to Sire. And they said at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he says, there's no trucks on the road up there. They just quit because you can't get from point A to point B. So,
And so that's just something we're trying to take into account both in our long-range transportation study, looking at what projects we're gonna need to be doing in the next 20 years or so, because a lot of these roads, like if they're starting to see where now,
oh,
we're definitely gonna need maintenance within that 20-year horizon. So that's something we wanna make sure we're taking into account. Again, you mentioned that mega site, with, and also the other companies that'll be, coming into the region. There's been a lot of, industrial and just employee, company overturn within Mills more compared to some of these other counties. They've been pretty stable. We've noticed, there's been a lot more switch over within Mills County than some of those other ones. So we're also trying to take that into account, like some of those community patterns might be shifting a little bit more significantly within Mills, compared to some like Shelby and Harrison. So that's something we want to take into account and adjust for as we're developing projects going forward. And then finally, that resilience side, some of you might be familiar that Iowa put together a resilience improvement plan for the entire state. Part of that included looking at specific areas within the state and specific environmental and weather-related hazards. One of the largest identified ones that was identified as like a top priority for the entire state was the Missouri River corridor and how the flooding on that really impacts the state as well as the overall transportation network, specifically for Mills and some of the other counties as well. So because of that, those can have, you know, they get washed out. We've had that happen a lot because of the frequency of those flood events are occurring more and more, more than anticipated, and what we typically expect for those roadways are having a lot of duplicative events that are just like consistently and constantly having to work on these different roadways along that corridor, which is expensive. It's, you know, it's hard to work around. You have to divert traffic, which means other roads are bearing the brunt of that traffic that aren't really designed for it either. So as part of that, we're hoping to come up with, we had discussed previously developing evacuation routes to better handle that and to create that roadway network that can better sustain the changes in traffic when those weather events do occur. That's something that may or may not come across in the next few years, but it's something we've considered. So we want to make sure we're designing those roadways and the projects that are going in there so that they're with that resilience take in mind, because we, again, it's super expensive and you don't want to have to be constantly replacing washed out roads.
Yeah, and having that coordination piece amongst the counties, cities, and state when these events take place, right? Like, we've all seen the recent news stories out from Texas, right, where the alerts didn't get out in time or sufficiently. We'd like to prevent some of those tragedies from ever happening. Hopefully, never happening here. But part of it is preparing, coordinating, ensuring that the proper materials, the proper communication channels are available, and the proper equipment is available. And I'm sure you guys are doing all that already and more. But we just want to emphasize it just as something we were trying to get into in the last couple of years with some additional federal funding. So there used to be a funding pot looking at preventative measures and additional coordination between states and local communities for some of this preparedness stuff. But we're afraid that's not coming to fruition. We'll see what the next transportation bill has to say about it. So.
So moving on, we did do some initial stakeholder input, public outreach as part of the RTP development. And we had some of those community priorities that kind of were identified as we were talking to residents in the county, local leaders, and it kind of came out to these five: preservation of rural roads and bridges. It's pretty broad. Addressing drainage issues in those flood roadway segments. That's just the resilience portion I was talking about. That we want to make sure we're improving regional connectivity to the Omaha Metro. That's a lot of those regional community patterns that we've seen that are adjusting and expanding safe walking and biking routes. That's something the community is really starting to champion themselves. We've seen that with the addition of these trails projects and the middle school trails board, and then also leveraging growth opportunities while preserving rural character. That one's, I think, a little unique, and I think that one kind of came out as a result of the mega site and some of the work around that. Was an interesting one, but we want to make sure we're supporting that however possible. We do have a community development, community and economic development team. Yeah, at Napa that's some of what they look at. They're looking at the economic side. They're looking at main streets, trying to make sure they're preserving these rural communities and helping enrich them however they can. And so there's some technical support available with that department at Napa if that's of interest within the Mills County area. So those are some of the goals we want to make sure we're incorporating into our long-range transportation plan and the development going forward. Overall, that's kind of what we've got good on those county highlights. Like I was saying, we're still working on those final textual updates, and then we'll be presenting that draft plan in August. So Jacob and Richard will be able to report back if they have anything additional that they think is important. Otherwise, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to follow up with me or Carlos. We can definitely reach back out and try and answer any of those questions.
Absolutely, thank you. Any questions, any discussions? Not an action item, so I thank you for your time and thanks for coming to see us.
Yes.
Caitlin, Rachel, you are up.
So the hospital is going to be able to get back to the revision to the contract for the Jenny Edmondson community health worker. So this is the program where the hospital employs Ben. He works full time in Mills County, and then they have the flexible funding pot of money. And I gave the new contract to you. Perfect. So this is the old contract, the highlighted section.
Thanks, Jake. Thank you, Jim.
And so basically they wanted to clarify that it's the foundation, not the hospital. So just one title change there to clarify. And then also that flexible funding pot, they wanted to change it from 70 to 50K. I think it's just that was what you were doing part of the original proposal. And so he just wants to make sure it's aligned. It's really the main thing. So
Caitlin reached out to me on this and
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it in front of everybody just to make sure we're on the same page. So it's just a small formality, so
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions on that? If not, I'd entertain a
No, I would-
motion to approve it.
I would make a motion to approve or revise the community health worker program agreement with Jenny Edmondson Memorial Hospital from 70 to 50, right?
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the revised community health worker program agreement with Jenny Edmondson Memorial Hospital. Is there any discussion? Again, thank you guys. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Where do I sign? Sorry for the making you make a trip, Rachel and Caitlin, but
makes my morning easy. Now I get
you.
All right,
Thank
sounds
you,
good. Thanks, guys.
Mr. Schultz,
I'll be brief.
you are up.
Just to, no action, a little dental discussion this morning, keep you updated what's going on with that. You and I spoke a little bit,
Yes.
just briefly about you and Temple Center. Had the opportunity to run up there and pick up the prisoner and all back. Just wanted to give them a shout out. Melissa up there did a great job. It was for an old guy, not been in agency in a long time. Refreshing.
Yeah.
Travis and I sat in on a phone call yesterday, with, Pot County 911, CD, FD, Chief James. Chief Davis wasn't able to make it, but I think they're gonna loop him in yesterday afternoon, just to talk about how we're gonna handle, dispatch concerns with the CD annexation. Who's gonna have, first response on
Sure.
emergency calls, whether it be fire or police. So we had a nice conversation about that. Sounds like we're gonna get some maps sent down to us. We're gonna try to get all that integrated in their system up there before we become final, but otherwise, right now, it's just gonna be a lot of, hey, calls coming.
Working together.
Yeah, so,
Good.
that's going well. And then just a really quick update on our new hire testing. We'd opened it up a couple weeks ago. We did that testing Saturday. Total turnout was not standing, but we're moving forward. We have some certified officers in the mix yet. So we're moving forward. Hopefully bring somebody to here who has civil service in a couple weeks. Interviews and then, some background stuff, but it might be a month yet before I bring me in here.
Good.
This is a heads up that we're still moving forward.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys.
It's easy. Mr. Hitchcock.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Well, not too bad. Yourself?
Good.
Good. Good. All right. Just got a few things. First one up, I believe by the agenda is the carpet replacement for the Mills Annex. I know that during the, kind of the renovation, down there with adding on that additional space, the carpet was done. This is just a quote through Kelly's Carpet to, replace the carpet in what was Patrick's office that is now the Mills County Emergency Management space. Some rough spots in there, and I reached directly out to them, just because they already had the account on file and then the carpet, style. But then also to address some of the other places within the carpet that they just need to come back and probably apply sport glue to. So I reached out to him. They provided this quote. This will come, we programmed these costs into the Mills County Emergency Management Agency's budget when we were developing it, just to replace that. So I just wanted to bring that before you, just say, hey, this is, something that we plan on doing. And because it's the county's facility, not necessarily the Mills County Emergency Management Agency's facility, it's really useful awareness. Sure that everybody was okay.
Do we need any formal action on this or?
No, I was gonna ask a question or two. Do we have to, in order to discuss it, do we wanna make a motion or just open it up for?
I'd be willing to make a motion if we need a motion.
Go for it.
Make a motion to deny replacement for the Mills County Annex.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the carpet replacement for the Mills County Annex for the sum of $3,074.41. Is there any discussion?
Well, I was gonna ask Travis, you got, Ecoflex, matrix, I don't know whether that's a glue, what, and then it says surface stitch. Were they gonna try, would they try and stitch between the pads or would they just pull them up and replace them?
When it comes to the carpet going in the office space or to repair? So to repair, I'm not really sure. We'd have to get, I guess, their perspective on how they would repair the areas that have carpet, coming up. And that's where Mark is at with economic development, where Audra's at the hallway. To replace now, that's gonna be tearing out everything that's in, Patrick's old space there. And then laying down those tiles, that was used in the new space. So I'm not really sure on the stitching, how they, made it down or applied them. I'm sure we can ask those questions.
I'd like to have some more information on this alone, I mean, they don't have a whole lot, of the $3,000, $1,000 of it is labor and surface cleaning and things like that, but it really doesn't give me a clear picture of what they're gonna do.
I would say, we have it on the agenda here about the AC. Not too long ago, you guys came in, about the AC, you need to get the AC fixed, you only need to do certain things. But you guys didn't have the money to be able to do it, something that was necessary. And then it fell back onto what was Steve Pool's budget, maintenance budget. And so I don't think this is necessarily a situation where we could spend, over $3,000 for this carpet. I think the carpet is fine where it is now. I go into your guys' office every once in a while. I don't see any issues with it. I don't think it's necessary at this point in time. I think we should save our money for stuff that is necessary.
And this is where I think that this is the Mills County Emergency Management Agency's budget. This was approved by the Mills County Emergency Management Agency
Mills County Emergency Management Agency's budget for
commissioners.
AC or anything like that, and you told us you didn't have enough money.
Well, that's
So
where,
I'm just saying, when this situation comes up again,
that's where I see the facility is the Mills County facility that is owned by Mills County. I'm a tenant within the facility, to a degree. Yes, we pay for the utilities. And this was, again, kind of a programmed project and expense, to replace the carpet that was kind of identified prior to, when it comes to the AC, I think that that's just something, that comes up, right? That's just, oh, well, this broke, it's 20 years old. I don't think, unless it's the direction of my commission, that we're gonna program these expenses or budget, for full replacement of all infrastructure associated with facilities, vehicles, that's just going to inflate our budgets. That's just my thought, my perspective. Again, this programmed expense within the Mills County Emergency Management Agency's budget, I came to you guys because it is the county facility. So if it's not the wish that you want me to pay for and replace the carpet with money that was already programmed for that within the county's facility, we won't do it.
What do you say, Jack?
Any other discussion?
well, that would be my feeling is not to be able to do it and then you guys be able to save your money for something else.
Any other discussion?
I have none at this time.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the carpet replacement in the Mills County Annex for the sum of $3,074.41. I'll ask again, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Go ahead. Nope, hold on, Jack.
We're gonna have to get some things straight here between his board of emergency management people and this board. Other boards bring things to us we don't seem to have too much of a problem with as far as okaying or discussing. I mean, if the health board brings something, the conservation board, so on, if that board approves it, we don't, well, no, if we can't do that, you need to save your money. Then if that's the case, it has to lead on to all other boards. Just a comment.
I think again, Mills County Emergency Management Agency's budget and their commission, it is their money to budget, plan projects. Again, it's me knowing that I'm a tenant for the facility saying, hey, we have the funds that are projected to replace it. So again, if it's the county, it's the board of supervisors who don't want me to replace the carpet within their facility with funds that were already programmed to do so, we'll move forward in that direction.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda is authorize the chairman to sign a 2080 agreement for 911 communications with Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, and Malvern.
Yep, the annual 2080 agreements, were signed by the city. So this is just that, yes, sir. I have provided the letters, that kind of just spells it out. We're still doing the $10 per pack benefit. This is from July 1 through June 30th of next year. And again, this is something that we do annually. So with that.
Perfect.
I would make a motion to authorize chairman to sign 2080 agreements for 911 communications for Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, and Malvern.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the chairman to sign the 2080 agreements for 911 communications, Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, and Malvern. Is there any discussion? Thank you for getting these done quick for us, Travis.
Absolutely. I also thank the, city clerks and city administrators.
There you go.
It was right back in front of us there.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sign each one.
And Emerson got to, and then I'll just return.
That's fine. One.
Sure. Oh, we'll wait for Amber's there, county auditor, unless you have.
I can
the-
sign as a deputy, if you'd
Go
like,
ahead.
or you can wait it.
No.
if-
If that's okay, I am okay with that.
Yeah, it should be good. See, there was two here for this one, Jack.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of formal action regarding the annex AC status.
Just wanted to give you a quick update on this, since I came, I believe a couple weeks ago, and we again haven't had, a ton of the scorchers, but the last couple days have been. And I think we saw what, they were kind of saying what would happen. And, again, it wasn't unlivable, but we did get to 74, 75 degrees. And you can just see, and it is, the air conditioning unit is running all day. There is no, I hit 72, I get to kick off and take a break kind of thing. It is running all day to keep it at 72, and it just doesn't have it, to keep it there. Because I did pull some time at 8 a.m. It was 72 degrees and it was set at 72, but the outside temp was 76. At 12 p.m. it was 75 inside when it was still set at 72, and the exterior temperature was 87. And then at 4 p.m., 74, 75 when the outside temperature was 95. So it's working pretty hard. Again, as of right now, it's kind of running, but I just wanted to make you guys aware that, it could be today, it could be over the weekend, that could kick off on us and,
Get it need fixed.
Yep. So, again, I just think, bringing the status to you, from like an awareness standpoint, and if it were to go, completely, belly up on us, and the process, whether it's the county's procurement policy of getting multiple bids to replace from different companies, assume or recommend it. So.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll monitor it again today, and again, I'm just taking readings at, 8, 12, 2, and 4, some of those hottest points of the days. And what it's set at, internal temp, and then also of what the exterior temp is, so I can get them to all kind of find the Mary, so.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, thank you.
No action on that.
Only sign 3.
Did I know if you do? Oh, yeah, absolutely, thank you. There is 2 down.
Okay, any new business?
I have none.
I have none.
Nor do I. This time I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn at 9:04 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 9:04. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jack.
Look at these carpet squares. These are good.